You see it everywhere, right? It's a symbol of stability, a tool for survival, and honestly, one of the most important bits of marine technology ever invented, the anchor. But behind this really simple-looking object is some seriously brilliant science that keeps the world's biggest ships from being tossed around by the sea.
But really, stop and think about that for a second. How can this one thing, which looks tiny compared to a massive ship, hold it steady against the incredible power of the wind and the waves? Now, if you're thinking, well, it's just really, really heavy, you're not alone. That's what most people think. But the reality is so much cooler.
Let's just bust that myth right now. The idea that an anchor is just a giant paperweight for a ship, that's a huge misconception. The real secret to an anchor's power isn't its weight at all. It's all about its ability to dig into the seabed. It's like a farmer's plow, literally gripping the planet itself.
So let's start right there by looking at the anchor as a tool. Because believe me, it is so much more than just a lump of dead weight. Okay, so here's the key difference. An anchor that only relies on weight just sits on the bottom. It creates some friction, sure, but a modern anchor is engineered to hook itself, to bury itself in the seabed. When you pull on it the right way, its flukes, those are the spade-like pointy bits, drive deep into sand or mud or gravel, and that creates a level of holding power that sheer weight could never, ever achieve.
So how do you get that perfect dig every single time? Well, it all comes down to the physics of staying put. There are two key ideas that work together in perfect harmony: scope and something called the catenary effect. First up is scope, and honestly this is the most critical factor of all. It's just the ratio of your anchor line, mariners call it the rode, compared to how deep the water is. If you have too little scope, you're basically pulling upwards on the anchor, which just yanks it right out of the ground. But if you let out a lot of scope, the pull becomes almost horizontal. And that horizontal pull is what forces those flukes to dig in deeper and hold on even tighter. Next is the catenary effect. It's a fancy name for something you've seen a million times, the natural sag in a heavy chain. But here's the genius part. That curve acts as a perfect, natural shock absorber. When a huge gust of wind hits the boat, it doesn't just jerk the anchor. Instead, all that energy has to first lift the heavy chain off the seabed, which completely dampens the force and keeps the pull on the anchor low, horizontal, and super steady. It's brilliant. So you put it all together, and the process is actually pretty simple, but it has to be precise. First, you drop the anchor. Then, you let out enough row to get the perfect scope, which creates that all-important catenary curve. This makes sure the pull stays horizontal, which lets the anchor do its real job: to dig in, set hard, and hold on for dear life.
Of course, this amazing design didn't just appear overnight. Oh no, it's the result of a journey that took thousands of years of trial and error, a story that goes all the way from simple rocks to sharpened iron hooks.
You know, the very first anchors, used by ancient Egyptians way back around 6000 BCE, were just what you'd expect: heavy rocks or baskets filled with stones. The big leap forward was when ancient sailors started adding teeth, shifting from just pure weight to a mechanical grip. By 800 BCE, you start to see metal hooks. Then, things were quiet for a while, until the 1600s, when we get the iconic Admiralty anchor. And then, another revolution hit in the 1930s with the invention of the super effective plow anchor.
The Admiralty anchor. That's the one everybody recognizes. It's the classic tattoo design. For hundreds of years, this was the absolute gold standard. And its design is just so clever. It uses that heavy bar at the top, called the stock, to intentionally trip the anchor over, forcing one of its two flukes to dig deep into the seabed. This was a massive, massive leap forward in reliability. But as effective as those old designs were, the 20th and 21st centuries brought a whole wave of scientific innovation. The result? Anchors today that are lighter, stronger, and just a whole lot smarter. I mean, today's top anchors are absolute engineering marvels. They're made from high-performance alloys like duplex steel that give you way more strength per pound. Companies use computer simulations to perfect the shape for the best possible dig. And they've got amazing design features, like roll bars that force the anchor to land in the perfect orientation every single time, and these concave flukes that just scoop into the seabed and set almost instantly. So what's the trade-off here? Well, traditional anchors are proven, they're simple, and they're way cheaper. But while modern anchors definitely cost more, they deliver far superior holding power, especially when conditions get nasty. And they're a lot lighter for the same level of performance. And that's the crucial point right there. Modern engineering makes a huge difference. The fact that a 20-kilogram modern anchor can actually outperform a 30-kilogram traditional one, that's not just a convenience. It improves the boat's overall performance and, most importantly, its safety.
But the story of the anchor doesn't stop there. As our understanding of the marine environment gets better, so does our responsibility to protect it. And technology is, once again, changing the game.
You see, there's a dark side to anchoring, and that's the damage it can cause. When an anchor drags or ship runs aground, it can be absolutely catastrophic for fragile marine ecosystems, like coral reefs and seagrass meadows. And these habitats are vital for countless species and the health of our oceans.
And the scale of this damage can be staggering. Back in 1984, the grounding of just one ship destroyed over 60,000 square feet of living coral in the Florida Keys. That's larger than an American football field, just wiped out in an instant. A huge part of the problem isn't even the anchor itself, it's the chain. In a traditional setup, as the boat moves with the wind and the tide, that heavy chain just drags across the bottom, scarring the seabed and destroying everything in its path. In response, we've seen the development of eco-friendly mooring systems that use buoys to lift the chain completely off the seafloor, preventing this kind of damage.
And the future of staying put might be entirely digital, with no physical connection to the seabed at all. Dynamic positioning systems already use GPS and thrusters to hold ships in one precise spot. And for those still using anchors, GPS alarms can instantly alert a captain if their anchor starts to drag, while monitoring systems can even predict a failure before it happens.
So, from a simple rock on a rope to intelligent digital systems, the anchor has come a long, long way. It's still a critical link between our ships and the planet, but as technology keeps offering us new ways to stay put, you really have to ask, will we always need this ancient fundamental tool that physically connects us to the Earth?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.